Yo, what is going on YouTube? Thank you so much to everyone for tuning into today's stream. And you guys know what's going to be going on. We're going to be interviewing Shaba from Trickle, and we're going to be discussing everything, guys. We're going to be going over the YeezySupply market. We're going to be going over the botting market, and we're just going to be covering it all, guys. So honestly, I think we're just going to get right into things. And just a quick disclaimer before we start. I'm going to be trying to make this interview as unbiased as I possibly can. Yes, I use Trickle. Yes, I cook with it. But I also use other bots, and I also cook with other bots in the past as well. So I'm going to be doing my best to stay as unbiased as possible. I'm going to be asking questions that I think everyone wants to know. And these questions are just going to be about everything going on. So that disclaimer is out of the way, and also this is my first live stream that I've ever done before, so I'm pretty excited. This is pretty dope, and just thank you again to everyone for tuning in. We're gonna call Shaba up and get him on here, and we're gonna get started. So let's get it. And just let me know. Just gonna be about everything. Oh, yo, Shaba.
Yep.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Not bad.
Chat, can you hear us okay? You could hear me, you could hear Shaba? I think we're good.
Cool.
Just want to clear, make sure we're good. Yeah, okay, sweet. Shaba, how's it going, man? How are you?
Everything's going pretty good. Just preparing for tomorrow.
Yeah, dude, I haven't even touched my setup yet. So that's about to be fun later, but shouldn't be too bad. Um,
Yeah.
Dude, thank you first of all for reaching out and just kind of setting this interview up. I'm super excited that we're all good to go. And dude, we're gonna hop right into it and just kind of go interview style. I'm just gonna be throwing some questions at you and just answer to the best of your ability. I'm sure you heard the intro. You know, I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as I can with Trickle
Yeah.
and any other bot on the market and just try to take a neutral standpoint on everything. So if you're
100%.
ready, we
And
can get it.
that's how it should be.
All right, cool.
Yep.
So, Shaba, what was your motivation for doing this interview and doing the interview last night with Soul State?
I think that there's a lot of stuff going around with Trickle and just with instances as a whole, and I kind of wanted to clear it up. And I think that like people like you and who I did interview yesterday with, you guys have like a pretty large audience that respects you, and I think that the best way to get information out is through stuff like this. I think that Twitter and Spaces are all cool and everything, but it also brings a lot of toxicity to the conversation. So I want to kind of keep as like drama free as we can.
Yeah, definitely. And that's going to be exactly what we're going to be trying to do today. We're just going to try to go facts. We're going to go some opinions with stuff. And that's kind of it. So, honestly, before we get into all the crazy stuff, instance wars, easy supply. Let's throw it back a little bit, Shaba. So, first of all, how did you get into this scene, and how long have you been in this scene?
So I started in the scene just like anybody else. It was back in like 2017, and I was actually trying to figure out how to bot and all that. And um, I actually never bought my first bot. I actually started PRing for it, and I had actually no idea what I was doing, and I kind of was learning throughout the ropes, and that was through Chef Adar. At the time, it was a extension, and then we moved to a desktop application, and from there, we kind of grew it from there, and then. I met Z3 and we did Feather, and it's kind of just expanded through there. And I joined different ventures. Obviously some businesses died off and some are prospering, but it's kind of just making connections. If anybody's listening to this, anybody can make it in this community. You just have to be able to put the time and effort into it. And if you're able to put in the work, people are gonna notice it and they're gonna want to bring you along the way. And that's how I look at all the people that I work with and all that. So if they put in the work, then I try to take them to places that maybe they are not able to get to on their own.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. And I mean, when I first came into this community, I was an absolute nobody, right? I didn't know a friend who got me in. I didn't know a single person. And just coming all this way in just under 2 years, or maybe just about 2 years, I guess it comes down to just putting in the work and connections is the biggest thing, and not just in sneaker botting, but in life, right? So that's awesome. And so Feather, obviously supreme, not too hot anymore. But how did you come about with Trickle? How did that all start?
So, at the time, I had actually Tsunami, which was a cook group that we recently closed down, and I knew Dwayne through that because he actually at the time we had like an exclusive like early links thing going on where he would provide me early links through some exploits on Shopify,
Okay.
and between that, our relationship grew, and we kind of just talked and said like, hey, why don't we just make something more of this? And we kind of took it from there, and um,
Who is Dwayne?
it,
Is Dwayne
Dwayne,
Zero X? Is
yeah,
that
zero X,
okay?
yep.
Okay.
So, in July will actually be our 1 year being public, but even before that, we were in like a beta period for like almost a year, if not longer. So we were really just trying to make sure that the product was in the best state it could possibly be. And obviously, long term, it's really benefiting us, and that's why we're in the position where we're at.
Sure, sure. And going off that, what would you say that your exact position in Trickle is?
So I manage everything outside of like the coding aspect. That's everything from like the business side, expenses, managing staff, doing support, just everything besides coding. And then obviously we have Dwayne or Zero X, as many people know him, and then Z3, who both work as a team for the coding side.
Cool, cool. And so you met Dwayne through Tsunami.
Yeah,
Okay, cool, cool.
you.
So when you first started out with Trickle, what was your or what was the goal with it, would you say? Did you want to I know you guys, and we'll kind of get into like the Walmart section, right? Cuz that was your guys' big thing. Was that the original goal with it?
So the original goal, we actually had like a few different like I guess pathways that we could have went in. And we were testing things out especially during the beta period where we had foot sites at one point and we had a good amount of checkouts, but we kind of killed it off because we didn't think it was gonna be beneficial. And I mean, I guess looking long term, that was actually a pretty good call.
Yeah.
We also had Hibbit, which we had throughout beta, and then even when we went public, and then after being public, we kind of killed that off as well. So right
Okay.
now, we have Walmart. Obviously, it completely destroyed Walmart, especially during our beta period. Restocks were something that were very common, and people were hitting a crazy amount of cards and consoles and GPUs or whatever it was. So I think our Walmart was really what put us on top, especially during the beginning stages. And then obviously now, easy supply drops are very common, and that's what we're dominating as well. But that doesn't mean anything else is not good. I mean, our Walmart still kills it. It's just restocks aren't as common, and Shopify is something that we're working on. I mean, it's in a really good state. It's just a little bit harder to use because it's CLI based. So
Yeah.
it's something that we're working on, and we're trying to make sure that we can give our users the most features and benefits as possible.
True. Yeah, I like that. And during your beta period, I guess this is when Walmart was really popping, cards were popping. I mean, there was 2, 3x return on a single pack of cards. I mean, what was Trickle going for back then? It was an absurd amount of money, wasn't it?
I mean, yeah, during the beta period, we never sold any keys.
Okay.
During the beta period, we really just we were giving them out for free to people who were cooking big, and we were looking at Twitter and seeing like, hey, who are the big chefs that can really represent Trickle in a positive way, and we brought them on board, and um, those people were hitting crazy clips on it, and we only got positive reports from it. And because of like their feedback, suggestions, and everything, is what led us to, I guess, where we're at now, the way we set everything up.
Cool. Yeah, no, I totally like that. And I mean, so you said that you were waiting for the bot to be in a state that you were comfortable with before releasing it public. Was there any other motivation for releasing it public? Obviously, I mean more profit, but I mean was there any other did you want to get more users running, or was there any other motivation just overall for taking it public?
I mean, I think that running a bot is pretty expensive. I mean, there's a lot of expenses for APIs and hosting and things like that on the back end that people don't realize. So, be able to just because during the beta period, everything was free. It's not like we did like a paid beta. We basically
Yeah,
invite them and you're in for free. So, um, we put a lot of time into it, and I don't think that time that we put into it, as well as expenses, just come
sure.
out for free. So.
Sure. Yep. Of course, that's completely understandable. And when I guess moving on to more of the Yeezy Supply stuff, when did you guys add in the official Yeezy Supply module, and was that a module that you originally intended to have in the bot?
Yeah, that was the original. That was a module that that was like one of the first thing that we said that's going to be like our framework, like our like the main module that we're going to have. And even though Walmart was the one that cooked the hardest, Easy Supply was something that we were still working on the back end, and it just took a little bit longer for the success to get to where it's at. So that was always something that we were planning on doing, and it was a good call overall,
Yeah,
especially with
definitely.
weights.
Definitely. And do you remember your guys' first like big Yeezy Supply cookout? Do you remember what shoe it was?
I can't really remember. I mean, there's been
Yeah.
so many drops where we've hit a crazy amount of pairs. I think it was Easy Day. I think last year Easy Day was something crazy, and we hit like an insane amount because I mean, there's waves every like 30 minutes or whatever it was, and
Yeah, yeah.
it just like it was like a full day of just like never stopping. We just
Yeah.
cooked and cooked and cooked, and um, I think that's something that really put us up top.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. And I mean, I guess we'll kind of take that and just head right into the sort of Yeezy Supply, quote unquote, instance war thing we got going on. And I mean, we'll just kind of start from the beginning with this and sort of just try to break everything down in with your perspective, with my perspective, and just kind of go from there. So, would you what point in time would you say that there was an uptick in the demand for extra instances? Did you
Um,
notice anything about that?
I mean, personally within Trickle, I didn't really see anything initially. I know there was other bots that did instances before us, and because of that, we had users suggesting like, "Hey, can we also do that?" And it kind of like put us in a spot where we wanted to offer something that's easy to offer to our like. There's a lot of features that our members ask us. They're not always the easiest, but adding instances was something that was easy for us to do for our users, and we wanted to make them happy. So because of that, we added them without a problem, and during the last few months while we did it, everybody was happy, and there really wasn't any complaints or anything. So we just continued on for it, and now we're at the position where we're at now, where we're not doing instances. And last drop we had a crazy amount of success without them, and we're gonna go through this drop and see how that works, especially with many other bots adding instances and stuff like that. So it'll kind of put us in in a perspective of where do we sit without the instances? Do we really need them, or are we at a disadvantage now?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak from firsthand experience with, I mean, I think it's Trickle and I think it's Whatbot are definitely the most efficient Yeezy Supply bots. And I know that's been a big argument of yours in terms of you're essentially saying that we're efficient and people can do on, people can run one instance of Trickle with 20,000 tasks, whatever it is, versus another bot where you can maybe only run a couple thousand. How do you think that plays into just the instances and everything sort of going on in that matter?
I mean, I think as a bot, it really shows that we don't have to compensate for getting more tasks out there for our users. I mean, every user at the end of the day is gonna be able to, or is gonna want to run as many tasks as possible. But what it comes down to is if you want to choose Trickle, you're choosing between running one or two copies and the same number of tasks as another bot and running, let's say, 10 instances. Like nobody wants to run 10 instances versus two if you're running the same number of tasks. And that's kind of where the efficiency part comes into play. And with that, I mean, you don't have to pay for more servers and things of that sort. So, I mean, efficiency is basically just making sure that your bot is able to run as best as it can, and I think that over, like I think like long term, that's really going to benefit us, especially on Easy Supply.
Sure, sure. That makes sense. I mean, it's when this whole quote unquote save Yeezy supply, the whole thing started, to me, from an outside perspective, it seemed like you guys were on board. Is that correct, or what was your initial thoughts on it?
So the way the whole instance thing worked was it was actually the night before that drop when all that stuff happened, and
What drop was
I
it?
was
Slides?
um I think it was the slides. Um, but basically, the day before that drop, we talked in a group chat with me, Dwayne, and Z3, and I was like, we should just stop the instances. It was right after I think one of the Prism guys tweeted what are the
Yes,
benefits of
Philippe.
it,
I
and started.
remember.
Yeah, and he started all of that, and I was thinking about it after that tweet. I was like, we should probably stop them and let's see what happens. So right after the drop, we actually ended up posting that before any of the Save Easy Supply stuff started. So we were actually the one of the first bots to post that and kind of start that. But I don't think we ever joined the Save Easy Supply. At least I never did. And the Save Easy Supply thing was stopping instances, which we did, but that doesn't stop us from selling copies. I think that those two things got mixed together where because we weren't doing more instances, we were just gonna stop selling copies, which um, I think that's where a lot of the issues came up.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that for sure, and I can also see how some people might have thought it was going to go the other way, which is definitely can see both sides with it. I mean, when we're talking about the original plan of this Save Yeezy supply, when it first came into place, do you think this came about because the bots actually cared about their users and they wanted basically the little guy to succeed and someone who might not have a ton of capital be able to hit some pairs? Or do you think it was more so to preserve the main site? And quite frankly, most bots' main site that they run the last big hitter site, I guess. Which
Um,
reason do you think it was because?
I think it's a little bit of everything that you stated. I think I posted a form actually right after the drop on Wednesday, and one of the key points that I put out there was like, how did your spending um like play out for this drop? Did you end up spending more or less, the same? And majority of the submissions that we got, it was like 40 something percent said that they actually saved money with fewer instances, and we still cooked out on it. And then we had a decent amount that said they spent the same amount, and then there's a minority that said they spent more than they normally do. So it definitely saved our users a lot of money. Now, as far as the site goes, I think that that also plays into role. I mean, no bot wants their site to get clipped at the
Of
end of the
course.
day. I mean, if you have a site that's if that's major for you, that you're constantly cooking, and all of a sudden it goes to like a raffle or something, then the value of your bot will go down. So nobody wants to do that. So that also plays a role. But I also think that um, bot resale values are also something that played a role as well. I mean, as many people know, I own Title Market, and I can see a lot of things that a lot of people don't see. That's like transactions and things of that sort. And once the Save Easy Supply thing happened, we saw a big uptick in transactions for those bots. A lot of people were buying them because they couldn't buy instances or because they were sharing with their friends. So one dude would buy, let's say, a Trickle monthly, and then he would buy, let's say, 20 instances and share with all their friends. Could only cost them $25. Where now they can't do that, so they have to go buy the bot. And that's not just something with Trickle. That's something with every single bot that was part of that movement. So
Sure,
I think there's
sure.
a lot of factors, and because of that, a lot of the resale value of these bots went up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean that, and sort of that was my next point, that I wanted to touch on a little bit, and you sort of touched on it a little earlier as well. And it's like you guys stated that you were gonna stop doing instances, which I think everyone thought was a good idea. The daily instances, like you said, that was the real kicker. I think the real thing that was just pushing a lot out there, in my opinion. And after this stopped, it did seem like there was a good uptick in the amount of renewals that you guys were pushing out. What is that? Was that your intended plan with that?
So with the renewals, we were always intending on pushing more, and renewals cost obviously a lot less than resale. So us pushing that is just it's really giving more back to the community. It's lowering our resale. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, we don't restock because we want to keep our resale high," but because we restock, the demand for it goes down. So that's not really a reason. We just wanted to up our user base a little bit more so that we can have more users to compete with other bots. And as we progress throughout, I guess, the year, we're gonna still drop more renewals. And as a result, we're gonna start dropping less monthlies and weeklies until we're up to par with these other bots.
Okay. And the renewals that you're dropping now, you can't resell them though, can you?
There's certain ones you can, there's certain ones you can't. We have like a wait list that we send emails for, and a lot of those aren't resellable.
Okay.
Because and the main reason behind that is because we want users to buy Trickle because they want it, because they want to run it. We don't want just people to say, "Oh, hey, I want to buy Trickle," and then they're gonna go to a marketplace and just flip it, and that's it. Because we've seen what bot flippers do to different
Yeah.
bots and how they can really harm them in different ways. And we really want to just make sure that Trickle is a bot that gets into the hands of people who are actually going to run it. And if they don't want to run it, then they're not going to buy it. Nobody's going to spend the initial fee of Trickle if they're never going to run it and they just want to flip it. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah. And you said that you do have some that you can resell. Is that any of new copies coming out, or are you just referencing the old copies that are already on the market?
No, there's new copies and stuff like that. I mean, it depends on the restock. Is It's always different. We definitely did restocks that like the last one that we had that wasn't unbindable or resellable. So it all just depends. But our monthlies and our weeklies are never resellable. And they're not unbindable or anything like that because I mean, obviously that's a temporary key. But as
Yeah,
far as the renewals and stuff like that, I mean, it all depends. Some restocks and stuff are unbindable and resellable, and some of them aren't.
sure. And I can state firsthand as well with, I mean, what are we talking? Mid 2021, early 2021, where bot flipping was just ridiculous. Maybe 2020 as well.
Yeah,
And
2020, 2021 is really the peak of bot flipping, and we saw bot prices get manipulated in ways that were unseen. I mean, we had bot flipping groups who had like secret partnerships with bots to pump their resale value, saying, "Oh, there's a big update or something coming out," before it actually did, and people would go and try buying the bot and all that, and it would just go up in crazy amount of value, and it was a crazy time, and nobody was even using these bots. Like we saw crazy high resale values, but the running count of users was super low. So it was like, what are all these people doing? And people had like stacks of these bots where it came into like some kids had like 10 or 20 or 30 copies of these bots that were just sitting, not even being used.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's there was, I mean, countless amounts of bot flipping groups, and the manipulation was insane. I mean, it could be, I don't know, $500 price increase overnight. They would buy up every copy on the market and just say, okay, this is what we're listing. It was clear manipulation. I mean, did how did were you involved in any bot flipping groups, or did you have any yourself?
I was definitely involved in bot flipping in a pretty big way. I mean, that was within Tsunami, that was a huge portion of it, and we were giving out pretty good information. And I mean, that's why I know a lot of what I'm talking about. And even with Title, I mean, I was able to see some of the manipulation that a lot of these bots were doing with their resale prices and stuff like that, and the way and like the number of sales they would do and stuff like that. So it was definitely a crazy time, and um, it's definitely slowed down since then. But that doesn't mean that it can't come back.
Yeah. I mean, let's try to relate to, I mean, I want the audience to try and relate to your situation, and Shaba, do you think that if someone was in your situation, they would be doing the same thing, and just kind of handling the situation the same way in terms of the instances, in terms of just the future of Yeezy Supply?
I mean, at the end of the day, every business is ran differently. That was I think that's a main I think that's a major reason why there's so much conflict right now is because the way that Trickle does business is different than another bot, and another bot differently from a different one. So I think that if one bot does something, then it shouldn't really affect or cause drama from another one. And I think that the way people look at business is different. That's why we're allowed. That's why there's so much innovation within it because of different sales methods and things of that sort.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any negative feelings towards any of the other bots or developers in the community?
Personally, no, I don't. I've during this whole period, I've never been one to start the drama or anything. I've definitely responded to things that people have said because I stand behind Trickle as a product and as a company, and I don't like people talking badly about it. And I mean, I wrote a whole thread about my thoughts and stuff like that when all these allegations came out. But at the end of the day, I don't have any bad feelings. I know a major thing's been going on between Trickle and Valor, and I reached out to Justin yesterday, and we talked a little bit, and all the like the toxicness and all that stuff isn't going to happen anymore. And we said like there's not going to be any more subtweeting and stuff like that. And I think that's a good thing for the community because I think this negative energy only causes for more, and it's just not good for the community. I think that we should be one. We should be a community that's really helpful, that's charitable, and that can get along with everybody. And something that I want to start planning out. I'm going to talk to maybe the Jet Boys or somebody is a charity, and we're going to do some stuff through Trickle and try to give back to the community and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, just before we get away from before, was it you that reached out? And I definitely, sorry, I'm not discounting the charity at all, and we could definitely talk about that after. I just want to, I think everyone wants to know sort of what's happening with you and Justin. Was it that you reached out to him, or did he reach out to you?
Yeah, I actually I reached out to him. There was some things that I don't want to say out here, but there's some things that happened over the night last night that happened that I think went a little too far. That I reached out, and that's kind of when we uh talked a little bit about it, and I
Sure.
guess we're just gonna run our companies separately, and that's how it is. And
Yeah,
I think that's a good thing. I think if we're able to both compete against each other, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that when companies compete, they um, cause for innovation, and that innovation allows for our users to have a better experience. They're able to have more success and really grow. If there's no innovation, then um, our customers are not really benefiting, I don't think.
yeah. And would you say that? I mean, I you guys don't have to be friends, but would you say that you're in a better position now after talking it through a little bit?
I mean, I can't really I don't really know what our stance is, but I
Yeah.
guess there's no bad feelings, I guess, right now, at least not from my end.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And I mean, I did read through some of your sub thread and just sort of the overall vibes of everything going on. It seems like, according to you, there was a lot of just direct attacks at Trickle, and it seemed like, what from what you were saying, it was at Trickle only. Why do you think people were going about it like that versus going after, let's say, Whatbot, or just, I mean, Kodai was I know they were giving away dailies, and I think maybe Prism did the same thing. Why do you feel like that was only coming at Trickle?
It's hard to say. It's something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I really couldn't put a finger on why that is. Other than, I mean, we did really good, and there's other bots that maybe didn't do as well, so they kind of made that excuse to point at the person who did the best. I don't know. I mean, I really can't say what exactly caused all of that, but we're definitely not the only ones who sold monthlies. We weren't the first. We weren't the first, and we weren't the last, and we weren't. We didn't sell any instances while other people did. So as far as like why this was all directed to us, I'm not really sure, but um, it is what it is, and we're just gonna move past it. I mean, at the end of the day, we just want to have good vibes, and we just want to be positive to the community, make sure that our members are taken care of.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think anyone can respect that as well. Um, I guess what would you say? I mean, for did you guys do dailies or week? You did weeklies, right?
We
And
don't do any
monthlies.
deals.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't do dailies. We only do weeklies and we do monthlies.
There was a rumor going around that you guys put out like 3K weeklies. Is that true?
That is not true. We don't even have
Okay.
3,000 users total in our Discord.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
total number of users in our Discord is 2.5 thousand, which is still under um many other bots, and that 2.5 is including renewals, monthlies, and weeklies.
Okay. You don't have to share this, but would you mind sharing how many renewals you guys currently have?
It's under 1,000, I'll tell you
Under a
that.
thousand. Okay, and then the rest are a mix between weeklies and monthlies.
Yes.
So roughly about 1,000 additional keys going out, more or less.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I mean, is that? Would you say that's comparable to other bots?
I mean, there's most bots within our that support the same sites as us are in the 2.5 to 4,000 user base range, and not only are they not only do they have a user base that big, but they're also offering instances as well, which already puts it at a disadvantage. So I think that this drop will be something that's really gonna show people where Trickle stands. We're gonna have we have just the 2.5 thousand members, and we're not releasing any more instances, and we're just gonna let it run, and we're gonna see how we do. And there's a lot of bots who dropped 400, 500, 600 weeklies over the last few days, and they're also offering instances for free to people. They're letting people buy instances and doing whatever. So we're gonna really see. This is gonna be a very interesting drop tomorrow, and see where we stand. And this is gonna be the main determinant if we're gonna allow instances again or not.
Okay, yeah. I mean, do you run anymore for
Me, yeah,
drops?
I run ACO and all that for. Well, I used to run for Tsunami, and we had really good ACO and all that. And now I'm helping Notify with some of their stuff so that they can improve their success for their members, and hopefully we can get a big cookout with them.
Sure, sure. So, I think we covered a lot of the whole instance war and just everything going on. Do you think we missed anything, or was that kind of the gist of it? I felt like that was a lot of it.
Yeah, I think that's the major gist. I mean, if people, I'm looking at the chat right now, so if anybody wants to throw any questions out during this time, I'll definitely read them and answer them. But as far as Trickle goes, I think that what we're doing is, I think a lot of our members like what we're doing. We've only heard positive feedback, and um, obviously, we just want the best for our users at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely, and sort of just moving away from this entire instance war topic. So, Shaba, you've been around since 2017, you said, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
20.
sure people back then were saying that sneaker botting was dead, shoes are going to die. I mean, how do you see things playing out over the next 6 to 12 months with just botting and sneakers as a whole?
Um, I think that right now we're in the same position that we were back in like 2018. And what I mean by that is, I think during like 2018, 2019, we were in a market like this. And then COVID happened. And when COVID happened, a lot of these stores put all their stock online, which caused for the popularity of botting because obviously there's a lot more stock that you can do. So between having more stock online and people not having jobs, people in school were online. It really boosted popularity with us, and that drove the demand for bots. That's why we had such high resale for many of these bots. That's why a lot of these cook groups were so successful and stuff like that. So I think that once all that stuff kind of died out, where people started going back into work, when school was back into like in person and things like that, I think that was what really shifted it. And now we're kind of back in a position where we were back in like 2018 to 2019, where it kind of was like a reset in a way.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I don't think that reselling sneakers or anything like that is ever going to go away. I mean, I was doing some research, and the trend shows that sneaker reselling, like just like the term and stuff like that, through the internet is actually getting more popular, while sneaker buying actually has become less popular.
Yeah.
So I think that just in sneaker reselling as a whole is going to be something that's only going to get bigger and bigger over time. And then especially when a lot of these supply chain issues that are happening get corrected over the next few years because of COVID, we're going to see these stores get more stock. And that's kind of the like a lot of these easy drops you're seeing, which are like 50, 60,000 stock. Like if there wasn't supply chain issues within like China and things like that, we would be seeing a way larger stock.
Wouldn't that go in the negative direction though? If there's more stock, I mean, it's kind of a rough market already as it is.
I think the it's hard to say, but I don't think you'll really ever see resale go under retail.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. I mean, obviously it'll get close to it as long as the shoes, obviously, a good designer is popular. But I think also just the state of the economy also is hurting people. I mean, the average person is now looking to buy a $300 pair of sneakers. They're looking to put food on their table, spend money on gas, their bills, whatever it is. So I think that also plays a role where if things were in the state they were and there was more stock, I think the resale prices would be maybe higher even with higher stock.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's interesting. And so you're saying just the overall economy is the driver of just prices being down right now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, we look at the crypto market, NFTs, the stock market. I mean, everything as a whole. It's not just sneakers that are
Of
going down.
course.
It's everything as a whole. And when people don't have money, the non-essential things obviously are the first to go. And then once people start getting money again, then people have a little bit extra spending money to spend on shoes or vacations or just any non-essential activities or goods.
Yeah. Someone in chat just said reps for the win. What are your thoughts on reps, Shaba?
So reps are actually an interesting topic. I have a pretty big TikTok page for Title, and within that, I get a lot of videos for sneakers. Obviously, on my For You page because it's like the way the algorithm works,
Yeah.
and
I've been seeing it
constantly,
too.
constantly I see these TikTok accounts boosting about reps, and like when you look at the comments, people are very positive to
They
it. So
love it. They
yeah,
love reps on
like
TikTok. It's
yeah,
crazy.
so coming, yeah, so coming from somebody who's within the sneaker community, obviously we only as a community we only buy real shoes and stuff like that. It's kind of like degrading or you lose motivation kind of when you see it as like people rather just buy the reps that are easy to get and whatever versus getting something that's real. Like I've never bought a rep and I would never wear one, but it's just like I don't know, it's just a weird feeling. I guess it just comes down to like how you are as a person, but it's just like I guess if you're a real sneakerhead, then you might have different thoughts about it versus somebody who just wants to wear something that looks cool.
Okay. So it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how the economy plays out. One thing that we've been doing in my group, SoFlo Supply, is we've been definitely putting a large emphasis more so on the flips, and we've actually been telling people, especially a lot of the newer guys, to start. I don't think de-investing is a word, but we're kind of just telling people like, listen, Yeezy Supply, it's I mean, it's always been with botting a pay to play game. Would you agree with that for the most
Yeah.
part?
100% it's a pay to play game, and then at some point you're going to get to the point where it's going to become so easy where you don't care how much money you spend on it because you know that when that drop's going to happen, you're going to make two times or three times the amount that you put into it. That's how it goes. But it's like a learning curve. Once you start botting and all that, it's very hard, and there's going to be many drops that you don't have success on. And people kind of like people get into that mood where it's like I'll never hit. But if you stick with it and you kind of go through a drop, and if you flop, you kind of like write down on your notes like, hey, I ran these delays, I ran these proxies, I did this, I did that, and you kind of like track your progress drop after drop. You're gonna make little tweaks that are gonna make the biggest difference. Like the smallest things are gonna be what take you from cooking zero pairs to five, and then like another tweak is gonna be taking you from 5 to 20 and stuff like that. I mean, it's just little tweaks that you have to do that is gonna take you to become like like a beginner bot to somebody who consistently hits and hits big clips.
Sure. And I guess we're going to start wrapping it up a little bit here. And I guess I just have two more questions for you. The first one riding off that is, if we have any beginner botters in chat right now, would you have any advice for them?
Um, I think if you're a beginner botter, don't look at the big people who are hitting cliffs. A lot of these bots, even I do it. We retweet these people who hit these huge clips, and you say like, "Oh, why can't I do that?" I think I know that what these guys setups take, and a lot of these people spend $10,000 or $20,000 on their setups between servers and
Per
proxies
drop, you're
and stuff like
saying?
that.
10, twenty
Yeah,
k
per drop. Yeah, like it's crazy amount of money. And it's something that not everybody can do, but eventually you could do that, definitely. But you have to start small. You have to figure out the small things first and spend $50 on proxies and get some Gmails or whatever it is and kind of see what it takes and really just hit one or two pairs. If you're a beginner, I would definitely focus on Shopify. It's one of the easiest sites you can hit. When I had Tsunami, I used to tell people if you're a beginner, run Shopify. It's the easiest site. There's not many things that you have to do. It's not expensive to run. You don't need like crazy Gmails. You don't need crazy proxies or anything like that like you do for Yeezy Supply.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what we tell people as well. I mean, it's just go rent Wrath for $40 for the month, and you're bound to hit something on Shop. Like
Yeah, definitely.
it's so simple. I mean, um, I guess yeah, I like that. I think that's solid advice. And just I mean, Yeezy Supply is kind of just a shit show right now. It's like I wasn't hitting clips until I don't know 4 or 5 months ago, and I've been doing this for 2 years, and I finally grew a pair and bought a subnet and just kind of like went down that whole route as well. And there's just levels to it, and of course bot companies like Trickle or like Valor or like Wrath, whoever else, are gonna be retweeting those massive clips. I mean, it's just what is it, FOMO? It's we did it's a whole bunch of stuff, right? And of course that's what's gonna be
It's marketing.
happening.
Yeah.
Were you saying something?
I said, yeah, it's just marketing.
Yeah,
And that's kind of where I'm transitioning to is kind of showing like, hey, anybody can hit on Trickle, and a lot of people saw maybe the video that we posted just before the drop. I think it was on Monday. I posted a video saying like, hey, anybody can hit. If you're a big chef or you're a beginner, anybody can use Trickle and you can hit with it. And that's kind of like the main motive that we're trying to tell people is like, you don't need to be a crazy chef to use us. I know CLI is a little bit intimidating for many people, but our bot is so easy to set up. It only takes a few minutes compared to others. And it just, I don't know. I know a lot of people get intimidated and then they join Trickle and they're like, oh, I don't want to use a CLI. I didn't know it was that. And then we walk them through it and they're like, wow, this is actually really cool. And then they end up loving it.
yeah,
So it's kind of intimidating at first, but I think Trickle is something that is, I guess, appealing or something that anybody can use, not just huge chefs.
sure, sure. And so, Chad, if you have any questions for me or Shaba, feel free to drop them right now. I'm gonna ask Shaba one more question here, and then if we have any in chat, if not, we're probably just gonna call it for the night. So, Shaba, what are your future plans, or what is the future plans for Trickle as of this moment in time?
We have some stuff coming up. I really can't share anything like that, but some of the stuff that we have planned, I know a lot of people are going to be excited about, and it's going to really boost a lot of our success on some of the other sites that we support. So I guess just make sure you follow Trickle and you turn notifications on because
There you go. The shill,
'cause
the shill.
yeah,
Cool. Honestly, I don't really see many questions in chat here besides LaFlame saying that you should run ACO for us. I think I think that's about it, Shab. I think this went
yeah,
super well, and I mean it was my first interview I've ever done, so I think it went pretty
yeah.
solid.
I
And
think it was a great interview.
yeah, thank you so much, and thanks for being here and talking to everyone. I hope we got some good perspectives in. Like I said, I tried to just ask questions that I thought were very unbiased, and hopefully that kind of gave some more insight to everyone watching. So wait, We have 1 second. Do you see? From Jay, real quick, do you see YeezySupply and the potential to hit big profitable clips die as we continue to put pressure on the site, Shaba?
Um, I think this is actually a very interesting question. I have a guy that actually, I get information from about stock and stuff like that, and kind of like what we're looking at for stock before the drop.
For
And
YeezySupply?
yeah, well, it's not for Yeezy Supply. It's actually for Yeezy Supply and confirmed.
Okay.
And like last drop, we had it was around 60,000, I believe it was, or 50. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like between 15 and 60,000 pairs.
For Onyx,
And
between YeezySupply and confirmed?
yeah,
Okay.
and we saw a crazy amount of pairs go to Easy Supply, and I don't know what exactly caused this, but like for example, Trickle hit 15,000. I know that Whatbot hit around the same amount, if not more. And then we had a lot of other bots that hit 5,000 or whatever it was. So there was definitely a lot of pairs that went to Easy Supply. And then on top of that, I know a lot of people who hit on confirmed, but then like later on, they got like an email or something saying, "Hey, we had to cancel because we oversold." So I think there are more pairs than people know are going to Easy Supply and not going to confirmed, or they're
Interesting.
just overselling on Easy Supply. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but there's definitely a lot of pairs that are going to Easy Supply.
Okay, and do you think that's better or worse for the resale market? And just kind of answering that guy's question with, as more traffic kind of hits the site, where does that leave profitability?
Um, well, it depends on the resellers, I guess. When you look at confirmed, you're putting pairs into people's hands that are most likely gonna wear them and kind of like unds them. Where resellers, they're just gonna throw them in their closet or in their basement or something, and they're not gonna be worn. So it kind of comes down to which direction allows for resale to go higher. People who are wearing them and putting less supply out there, or people who are just holding them and can really control the price of the shoes.
Of course, of course. And Shaba, would you want to bless the stream with some stock information for tomorrow?
Um, I can look. Let me see. For tomorrow, we're looking at 50 58,000 pairs. And that's
Between
between.
confirmed and YeezySupply.
Yep.
That's a lot for this colorway.
Hmm.
I feel like that's. I don't see
But
prices doing too
that's
hot on these.
I mean that's pretty normal.
Is that
Let
normal?
me look, let me look it back at the last drop. Give me a second. Yeah, there was like 62 for the Onyx.
62K. Wow, okay.
Hmm.
I mean, but that's the thing. The Onyx are going for like 180, 190, and everyone's been waiting for that. And this thing's like kind of same. I don't know. They're gonna be all right. But
Yeah.
I mean,
I
here's
mean,
another.
in the grand scheme of things, I mean, you look at 60,000, 70,000, whatever the stock is for these pairs, and you think, wow, that's a lot. That's really going to affect the resale value of these pairs. But you have to look at the other side. There's millions of people who are trying to get these shoes. That stock is nothing compared. It's not going to make a dent. I mean,
Sure,
obviously, it's going to make a dent, but it's not going to really brick it or anything.
sure. I mean that makes sense
Yeah.
as well. And the questions are flowing a little bit now. One guy asked about how to hit confirmed. Confirmed is kind of pay to win, guys. At least from what I've seen. Sometimes you can hit on fresh accounts, but the people who are who are hitting consistently are like level 3, level 4. At least from what I've seen. Shaba, do you have any
It,
input on that?
I think confirm is very similar to Travis. You have to have a purchase history. If you don't have a
Yeah,
purchase history, then why are they going to give you something that's exclusive? Like for Trav, if you buy their random merch that looks like crap, I think, they're going to give you like the cool shoes, and that's the same
yeah,
thing with Adidas confirmed. If you buy like the GR stuff or you buy like whatever else that's on there, then they're going to allow you to win on this other stuff. So it's
yeah.
it's kind of like it's kind of like botting is a pay to play kind
It
of thing.
is. It is. And I feel like sneakers is the only one that's not like that, which is kind of interesting. But their app is a whole nother conversation. And
Yeah.
one guy asked here, he says, I mean, I could probably answer this one, but I'll let you go for it. It's do you think Adidas essentially knows that they have to rely on resellers versus Nike? He thinks personally Nike can resell a model without sneakers versus Adidas who cannot.
I think both brands they rely on botters.
Yeah.
They have this like marketing tactic that makes people think that oh we hate resellers and stuff like that.
It's
But at
such
the
a
end of the
sham.
day,
All these
at,
companies, they love it
at the end, yeah, at the end of the day, they need us. That we're really taking a huge amount of pairs off of them almost instantly.
instantly.
Like imagine if they had Yeezy Supply and there was no bots. Like how long would like Wednesday drop take to sell out?
Yeah,
You know, like
for something, I mean, 350s probably wouldn't sell out. Maybe slides and foams still would eventually, but I mean,
I
it's
think
so
I,
true.
I think I think everything will end up selling out, but I think it wouldn't be within like 30 minutes or an hour. It would
Yeah.
take a
I
whole
mean,
day.
same thing with Foot Locker. They claim they hate us, but I mean, they can
Yeah.
drop a shoe at. I mean, I think there was a period when Footsite restocks were strong where they were dropping them at it was 12:24 Eastern every single night,
Yeah.
and what they were
I
getting
think the
wiped.
I think the greatest example about all of this is kind of like Easy Day last year. There was really no marketing or anything that went towards it. And not
Nope,
only that,
all in
but
our community. That's it.
it was and not only that, but it was on a Monday when people had work, when they had school. So like who were they targeting during Easy Day? If they didn't tell anybody about the all the restocks and they did it while everybody was super
That's
busy,
a
I
good
think
point.
that was just like a way to get their pairs into the resellers' hands.
That I mean, that's a great point, honestly, and I didn't even think about that, but it's like yeah, they didn't. That wasn't on Adidas Instagram or anything. It was on Yeezy Mafia, and it was just Yeezy
I think that was even
Influence
like
and
the day
all those
before too.
pages.
Yeah.
That's
So I,
crazy.
I think all these brands they say they hate us, but at the end of the day, they need us. And I think that um, I don't think we're ever gonna see the end of botting. They're definitely gonna make it harder just so they can show like their loyal customer base, like, hey, we're doing these measures to stop bots, but they're never gonna really like admit or say like, hey, we're gonna stop you,
Yeah,
because they
they
could definitely
couldn't.
stop us.
This guy, Steven, my boy Steven, he asks, Shaba, do you feel your Shopify module is competitive with other top Shopify bots? What was Trickle's shop checkouts on Onyx?
So I think that our Shopify bot is very good. It has a lot of stuff that makes it very competitive against other bots. The problem with Trickle with the Shopify module is that it's CLI. We get checkouts all the time for it, and I mean they're daily. We have stuff coming in all the time for restocks and for drops and stuff like that. But the number of users who are running the bot isn't that high, and that's just because they prefer another bot that has a GUI for CLI. CLI on Shopify is pretty hard to run overall, especially for a beginner, and you really have to know what you're doing. So I
Yeah.
think that's one of the reasons why that module specifically lacks success, not because it's bad, but just because it may not be appealing to people.
Yeah, I could see that as well. I mean, it's like running Trickle on Shopify versus Wrath or Valor. I mean, it's
Like
night
with
and
like with
day.
like with CZ Play, all you have to do is hit like one button and let it run. You don't have to do like a lot of the mass link changes or stopping and starting to see what queues at so you don't enter too early or domain change. I mean, there's so many different things that can get thrown at you for Shopify that GUI really helps with. Um, and I think that's one of the main reasons why that module lacks. But I mean, if you run it, and you run it good, you're definitely gonna have success. Like we update it all the time. We have success on it already. It's just people don't find it appealing, or they may find it hard to use.
Do you plan on taking Trickle GUI at some point?
That's something that we've thought about, and it's something that we may consider. in the future, but as of right now, I mean, we don't have we don't have anything planned or anything like that.
Okay, okay. From Kanga, Shaba's thoughts on why Foot Locker went to raffles.
Sorry, you're breaking up. What did you say?
I said, from Kanga, Shaba's thoughts on why Foot Locker went to raffles.
Foot Lockers and I guess all the foot sites and all that really at one point they had a lot of stock, obviously, and a lot of these bots like Cyber, Kodai, Wrath. There's a ton of different bots that were hitting crazy clips on foot sites,
Yep.
and that's just because they had a crazy amount of stock on them. And kind of going back to what I was saying earlier with supply chain issues, like Nike and Adidas don't have as much stock as they want to put out there. So what they're doing is they're kind of taking the stock away from like Foot Locker, for example, and they're just releasing on the sneakers app because if they don't have enough stock to release themselves, why should they give another company
Of course.
stock? So with that being said, the reason why I think personally they went to raffle is just because they don't have as much stock just to blatantly throw out there. So it makes more sense for them just to do a raffle and be able to really filter out the bots and all that and give it to their real customers because it's not like they just have extra that they can just give away.
Do you think they'd ever go back if supply chain gets fixed?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it just comes down to supply and demand. Right now, there's more demand to supply, but at some point, I think there's going to be more supply that's going to get pumped in where they want to kind of increase the demand for. And us as a community is what really drives that demand.
Sure, sure. I mean, that makes sense. And it's going to be interesting, I think, to see how everything plays out in terms of just all the sites. I mean, let's say Yeezy Supply. I mean, what I don't know if you saw that JM Wind interview with Keith Adam where they said Yeezy Supply was sort of in talks with Shopify. I mean, do you ever see something like that happening?
I mean, you never know. I mean, Easy Supply used to be on Shopify, and then
Yep.
they moved to what it is right now. So, if it moved to Shopify, then we're still in a good place because we have a great Shopify module. We'll just pay more attention to that versus what it is now. But no matter what, we're gonna make the adjustments that we need to ensure that we have the most success possible.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Shaba, on that note, I think we're gonna call it there. It was this an intro part two or outro part two. But yeah, dude, thanks so much for hopping in once again and answering everyone's questions. Definitely for everyone here, let me know. Maybe drop a comment on this video if there's other people you'd like to see me interview. I could definitely reach out. I was thinking, I had a couple people in mind and just kind of wanted to get the first one in the books, which I think everything went super well. And I spent 5 hours figuring out how to set up this stream earlier today. But yeah, it's all good, and just thank you everyone for showing up. Shaba, thank you so much again, and yeah, I guess we're wishing the best of luck to everyone tomorrow.
Yeah, no matter what bot you're using, hopefully you hit good pairs and you're able to make a good amount of money because that's what we're about.
That's
So,
it. That's it. All right,
all
Shaba,
right,
chat. See you guys later. Wishing everyone the best of luck, and hope everyone has a good rest of their night.